welcome everyone to another session on Crafty Creatives, Crafty Illustrations. Just get rid of this little blue screen for the minute, so you can see what's going on. And I'll try and sort my camera out in a minute. But welcome everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Please check in on our live chat as well. That'd be great. And hope everyone's doing well. So Crafty Illustrations is part of a series called Crafty Creatives, and during these series, these up and coming months, we're going to be looking at some cool ways we can kind of get our digital art skills up to scratch, whilst using our hand-drawn skills or hand-crafted skills. We're going to look at multiple different things, using a computer to capture our hard work, whether it's sketches, whether it's some other kind of craft activities that we've been doing, in a way to kind of record them, but also to be able to use them with minimal kind of effort in the future. So, for example, we are creating artwork at the minute in Crafty Illustrations, and what we were looking at trying to do is trying to capture it in a way that we can utilize the artwork time and time again, resize it, and kind of help us out in being a bit more efficient with our artwork. Okay, so if you just bear with me 1 minute, we'll just have a little scroll through what we're going to look at and where we are on today's session and the rest of the 5 weeks that we're going to be delivering these sessions. All right, so let's have a look. Like I say, Crafty Creatives is a part of a series. It's a 6-week course, and we had our taster session last week. All right, so last week we looked at what we're going to be exploring in Crafty Illustrations, and that was a taster session on last week. So we have 5 weeks from today where we will explore in different levels of detail some really cool things that we can use in creating our illustrations, from our hand sketches to bringing them into the likes of Illustrator and Inkscape, and being able to reproduce them and create vector artwork. So that's Crafty Illustrations. All right. We're looking at doing another course after that in 5 weeks' time, and it's called Crafty Type. And then within that course, we're going to be exploring typography. It's something that I've really been interested in for a while, but I've never got around to looking into it really. I've done some research quite a few weeks ago now, and it touched on how Illustrator's grids can be used for typography, and it gave me the idea that I would really like to explore typography in a little bit more detail, because it's such a skillful kind of niche part of design, but I've rarely touched on it. So I'm really excited to be looking into that in a few weeks' time. And then at the bottom there, we've got a question mark, guys. That means that this Crafty Creative series can go whichever way you really want, so please give us your feedback. Please interact with us on our live chat, and let us know what you're feeling. What is it that you want to be looking at in terms of utilizing craft skills in a way that we can digitize them, and we can kind of work with both our handcrafted artwork and digital technology. Okay, and I'm quite keen on also looking at just the handcrafted elements to this Crafty Creative series as well. So we will be looking in the future at a few other options that doesn't rely heavily on technology as well. So please let us know what you're feeling, what your interests are, and we'll make a note of those, and we'll include those in up and coming courses and sessions. All right. Okay. As always, guys, we've got this we've got, just bring me noise down a little bit, it looks as though I'm shouting at you guys. As always, we've got session forms to fill in, and these enrollments are really important for us, guys, because it allows us to demonstrate to the National Lottery, who fund these sessions, that we are interacting with the people that we plan to interact with at the beginning of our partnership with them. So please click on the link here, and all you need to do, guys, is fill in sections B and C. So you just need to download the form, and I'll do it for you now just to show you how easy it is. We'll just click the download button here. It'll download the form into your downloads folder. Now on my computer, that's it there, downloaded, and you can click this little arrow here and then click open in System Viewer, or always open in Adobe Reader. If you click on this here, it should open the form, and that's the form there. Okay, another way of locating that form, guys, I'll show you quickly now, is if we click on the little folder here, go to our downloads, and there's that form there. Okay, and you just double click on that form and it'll open it in whatever program you've got set up. Okay, so all we need to do really, all we would like you guys to do is fill in sections B and C, which is this bit here and this bit here. So if we go to the form, it's set up so you can quickly and easily just type your name in there, email address, and some of your details in there. Some of them aren't really important, you know, but a lot of them, your name and address and things like that are. And then you've got your learning style. This really helps us understand how you guys like to work and how you like to learn, so we can incorporate that in our learning. Our teaching, sorry. So it's just sections B and C, and then if you can save that form, okay, and the save button is home, file, sorry, file, and then save as. Once you've filled the form in, and save it somewhere on your computer, usually your desktop. It's the easiest place to find your file, and then all you need to do is send me an email. Okay, so there's my email address there. Drop me an email, attach that that completed form, and that's you enrolled on the course for the next 5 weeks. All right. So please do that. It's really important, and it does take less than 5 minutes. At the end of the session, we've got a survey to fill in. Please fill that in. I'll just quickly show you what that looks like now. I'll keep on meaning to change this, and I will for the next session, so I'll make a little note of that. Change Google Drive form. But please fill in this. It's basically got your interaction with the session, how you've liked it or not liked it, and just some ways that we can improve. If you've got some different ways or suggestions that we can improve as an organisation and as a tutor myself, fill those in. It doesn't take very long. Submit that form. We'll get that form. And I'll make sure this form is set up correctly by the end of the session, and then you can fill that in quite nicely, and that'll help us take into account your feedback for our future sessions. All right, so they're the two forms there, and I'll make this this presentation available on our description in our YouTube channel. Okay. So that's the boring stuff out of the way. Let's have a look at the course. As explained before, we've had a taster session, which we done last week, and we looked at what a vector image is. I'll look at doing a little quick recap in a minute, but that's what we've done last week. And a vector image is all part of Crafty Illustrations, because what we're looking at doing is we're going to take your hand drawings, and then we're going to turn them in a way that you can easily resize them, edit them using different software on the computer, and creating some really cool bits of artwork from your hand sketches. Okay, so today's session, we're going to look at creating artwork for a birthday, okay? And what we're going to look at doing there is we're going to look at doing 2 activities. We're going to do one activity between now and 2 o'clock, and that's creating a bit of artwork for a grandparent, for example. And the grandparent, I think the activity is going to be for your grandparents' 70th birthday, and we're going to do some specific artwork for that. We're going to sketch first, and I'm going to set my camera up and I'm going to show you my process and how I would approach that activity. We're going to do a bit of research as well. I'm going to point you in the right direction to where you can get some royalty-free images and how to get some cool fonts and things like that for when we take it into Illustrator and when we take it into a vector-based package, so we can scan your image in or photograph your image and start working on it in there. So that's one activity. And we're going to use Illustrator in that first activity. Adobe Illustrator is the package, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about that in a minute. The second activity, which we're going to run from about 2:15 till about 3 o'clock, we are going to do very similar a task. We're going to create some artwork for a younger person's birthday party, and we're going to use Inkscape, which is a comparable vector-based program to Illustrator, and we're going to look at the comparable tools that I used in the first activity, how we the comparable tools that will be used that can be used in Inkscape to capture images that we've hand drawn for activity 2. If that doesn't sound too clear, don't worry, stay with us. It will do as we move on through the sessions. All right. Session 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is my ideas for other artwork that we're going to generate, and each session that we're going to look at creating artwork from hand sketches into our vector-based packages, we're going to look at different tools within that package. Okay. Any other suggestions you got, guys? Please let me know. You've got my email address, or you will have my email address when this presentation becomes available here. Okay, so that's a session. That's a course overview. Now, last week, just a little quick recap. I keep on mentioning the word vector-based images, vector this, vector that. All right, and yeah, it sounds all well and good and all technical, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's just absolute gobbledygook. So what vectors are, in a way, is a way of generating images or creating images through different programs that allows an image to be scaled up to whatever size you want and scaled down without losing quality. Okay, basically the way that the artwork is created, it's created using specific paths and coordinates on your sheet of paper, on your artwork board. So the computer and the programs that use the artwork know specifically where the points are to create that artwork. Okay, so the way I kind of think about vectors is that a vector can be a bit like a road that you drive along. Okay, a physical road that you get in your car, get on your bike, or a path that you walk along. It's there, it's set, and you can follow that road, and it's actually there in existence. Where a raster is more of a photograph of the road. It isn't a specific path. You couldn't walk down a picture of a road because it's just a photograph. Okay, and that's the way I kind of picture rasters and vectors. Okay, but we are specifically going to look at vectors over the next 4 or 5 weeks because I think they're really useful and they're very versatile as well, and there's lots and lots of different applications for vector-based images. Not that there isn't for rasters. Rasters, you can produce some fantastic imagery using raster imagery. However, vector-based imagery can produce some really, really cool effects and they're quite really versatile, as you can see from these photographs here. With vector-based images, you can use those images to create laser cut artwork, as you can see here. You know, things like favors for weddings, little gifts or models. This is a ply cut laser map, which is the specific paths cut from a bit of plywood from that vector-based image, all the way to manufacturing, where they use the actual vectors or imagery, the paths, to create things like doors and panels for kitchen units and things like that. Okay, so very versatile, lots of different applications, and that's what we're going to be looking at. All right, so last week, if you remember, we looked at creating some vector artwork. From our little Google search, we found this model aeroplane, and this model aeroplane was made from all these flat pack little bits and shapes, and that all slot together to create this one model. Okay, what we did was we brought this model into Illustrator first of all. We brought that image in Illustrator, and we traced around one of the elements to create a vector shape. And we used a pen tool, which is the go-to vector-based kind of tool in Illustrator. We used the pen tool to create this shape. And then we've done exactly the same process in Inkscape, which again is the comparable vector-based program to Illustrator. So that's what we've done last week, and we're going to try and do a bit of table tennis, if you like, between Illustrator, which is a paid vector-based program, and Inkscape, which is a free open source program. So if you don't have Illustrator, you've got half the session is covered to accommodate Inkscape, which is, like I say, it's free. But if you don't have Illustrator, by the way, the Illustrator and Inkscape are very, very similar. The tools are very similar, and the processes are very, very similar as well. So really, the things that we're going to be learning across both platforms are really transferable. All right. So how we're going to work? We're going to have spend a bit of time doing some artwork and research for our first activity. It's going to take about 20 minutes. I'm going to just show you the process I go through as a creative, and the go-to places that I go for some source imagery. Okay, we're going to do some hand-drawn artwork for about 40 minutes, half an hour, and I'm going to switch my camera on so you can see my thought process and me poor hand sketching, and then we're going to look at bringing that into Illustrator to do a bit of vector-based drawing and tracing around the images that I've created, and then we're going to do the same in Inkscape as well. All right. So activity 1 in Illustrator, eventually we're going to do it in Illustrator, is design some artwork to celebrate a grandparent's 70th birthday. We need to research some design ideas. We need to sketch some ideas down, then we're going to bring those sketches into Illustrator and turn them into a vector-based image. All right. Just bear with me 1 minute. I'm just making sure we've got people about. So hello everyone. And just making sure everything's all good in our chat there. Right, so let's go back to our presentation here. So this is quite a loose brief, but I'm trying to create these activities that are quite a generic activity that you can apply for everyday kind of everyday requirements that you guys might have. You know, everyone's going to have a birthday that you know at some point in the year, and this process really might help you in creating something really unique and really bespoke. But more importantly, it's environmentally conscious because you're doing it by hand. It's usually free as well, and I think handmade gifts are a lot nicer to receive as well. So we're going to add a bit of context to a grandparent's 70th birthday, because we need to kind of get an idea on, or build a picture of a grandparent. Now, you guys might have grandparents, might have people who are around about the 70th mark, so you might be draw on some of that information. But I'm just going to make something up around about a grandparent here, maybe a couple of likes, and so on and so forth, so we can actually put some specific imagery in our artwork. Okay, now we're looking at birthdays. So the reason why I've chose birthdays today, like I mentioned before, everyone experiences a birthday, and for a birthday there's a lot and lot of material out there that we can produce in order to make that birthday special. You can create banners, you can buy all this stuff, okay? But we want to create a hand crafted element to these, or a handcrafted solution to this. And the reason why we want to create a vector based image is that once we've created that one image, like I explained last week, once you've created that one little logo, for example, we can then use that logo and use the elements from that style to then recreate other bits of artwork in this theme. Okay, so if it's a grandparent's 70th birthday, we were going to create a generic bit of artwork that we can use to create a banner. We're going to look at creating a birthday card, and we're going to look at creating an invite for that birthday, and these are the sizes that we're going to use. Okay, and I'll show you how to set these up in Illustrator and in Inkscape after the Inkscape when we tackle that activity after the break. All right, so let's have a look. Right, so wild tree. Okay, I can't spell, but let's have a quick look at this for a minute. So disregarding my poor spelling here, it's really important that we source our images correctly. So royalty-free images is a phrase that we use at Media Savvy to when we searching for images. Okay, royalty-free images are images that have that are free to use for personal use, and sometimes they're free to use for most of the time they're free to use for commercial purposes as well. They're free to use for commercial purposes when you attribute the artist who's created the bits of artwork, and I'll show you that when we get online in a minute. But for personal use, you can fill your boots basically. As long as you're not trying to make money out of the artwork, you should be fine. And then fonts as well. There's lots and lots of free fonts available online with the same kind of idea that you attribute the person who's created the fonts. And this is one of my go-to websites for downloaded fonts, so I'm going to show you that in a bit. Okay, but let's start with a bit of research and let's try and build up a picture of this person, this 70-year-old person. Okay, so I'm just going to go straight in there, and let's say it's a grandparent called Dorothy. And maybe she's called grandma to our grandkids. She has grandkids, by the way. I'm just building this picture up now. So she's Grandma Dorothy. She's going to have a 70th birthday, and she's going to have a birthday party. Okay, so we do need to make a card for her. We need to make a banner, and what was the other thing? And we need to create an invite for her. Well, not for her, but for her guests. Okay, so Grandma Dorothy. Now, as you guys will know, if you're creating something for somebody, you'll have an idea on what these people like. I've just made this lady's name up, so I'm going to say that she likes bacon. Okay, so I'm going to put that down on my notes here. She likes bacon, and she likes motor racing. Okay. What else? She's a bit of an adrenaline junkie and skydiving. Why not? Yeah. Let's hope she doesn't do it all at once. Right. Okay. So I've got a little bit more about her there. What I would like to do is now think about, and what I'm going to come on here is I'm going to look at some images for. She also likes floral designs. I'm just writing this down now. And the reason why I say floral designs, it could be any type of design, but I'm just looking for some kind of guidance in the kind of the overall style of the bit of artwork we're going to do. Okay, so floral designs is where I'm going to first do my Google searching. Floral designs, and I'm just going to pick out some things that I quite like. Okay, so I really like color, so I think I'm going to have a look at the minute we're not downloading anything, we're just looking at some ideas of shapes and sizes and things like that, colors. So this one's really appealing to me, so I'm going to visit this website and see what they've got to offer. That's a bit of artwork I like. Let's see what we've got going on there. Okay, and you need to pay for it. Okay, but I'm not going to pay for it, but I'm just taking inspiration from that. Okay, so I'm going to keep that on my tab there. I'm going to leave that there. I really like that. And then I'm going to go back. So we've got the floral designs ticked. We're going to take inspiration from that and maybe take some of the colors combinations, maybe a few of the shapes, and use that for our designs. What else did we say she liked? She liked skydiving. This Grandma Dorothy likes skydiving, right? Let's see what images we can find for that. Right, okay, so let's say we might have a picture of Grandma Dorothy doing a skydiving. This one straight away looks quite cool to me. So you might have a picture similar to that. So I'm going to keep that one open. And one cool way of opening the images, guys, if you right click on the image here, and then you click on open image in a new tab, it brings up the entire image here. You can also right click on the image and save as, okay? But if this was a real person, you're going to have the actual photographs and actual material. So I'm just trying to build up a little bit of resources around and ideas to generate this kind of bit of artwork that we're going to make. Skydiving, we've got an image for that. Let's see if there's anything else that might okay, that's a cool image, and I think I'm going to use this one as well because we could utilize this idea for maybe a happy birthday on there or something like that. So I'm going with that one. And let's go back. So she likes skydiving. She also likes motor racing. Let's say Formula One, motor racing, or racing. See what happens with that. And I'll Google searching. I've got an idea for this now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shelve that idea for motor racing, and I'm going to think about seeing if I can, let's say one of our grandchildren drew a picture of Grandma Dorothy in a motor car. Okay, so we might have, I'm going to sketch that and pretend I'm that grandchild. I'm going to use that bit of artwork for part of the overall picture that we're going to design for her. And then she also likes bacon. So let's have another quick Google search here. So this is exactly the kind of processes I go through when I'm starting to create some artwork. If you're doing artwork for somebody, you might as well go to the local card shop and buy a generic card off the shelf if you're not going to think about who that person is, what they like, so you can include images and things that are specific to that person. So this is exactly the same process I go through when it comes to making artwork specifically for somebody or for a brief. You know, if a customer comes to us at Maybe Savvy and wants us to create some artwork for a new bar or a website or something like that, we need to really find out exactly all the bits of information that that company is, what they offer and things like that, so we can make sure that everything we're designing is bespoke to that company. Okay, so let's have a look. I'm trying to find some nice bacon images. Let's say cake instead. That's a nice cake. Let's maybe use that. Okay. Okay, just bear with me 1 minute. And then now we're gathering from here. We're gathering a load of different imagery here in order to build our bit of artwork. So what I'm going to try and do now is I'm going to set my camera up, and we're just going to flick from these images, and we're going to try and come up with some sketches in relation to that. So let's see if I can get this done on the fly. I tested it earlier and it did work, so let's hopefully get this working for you guys. If you guys have got any suggestions as well, I'm just picking these images, you know, just as I'm going along. If you guys have got any suggestions, please let us know, and let me know if you think I could incorporate anything else into the bit of artwork that we're going to create. Now just bear with me one minute while I set this up. Just set my camera up so it's going to work. Rat-a-tat-tat. 3, 2, 2, and start. Fingers crossed. Here we go. Right, perfect. Just bring this over so I can show you. Okay, so I'm just going to set this up. This is Mealy Savvy's office at the minute. Just got me a little, set me tripod up. Bring that down a little bit. Hopefully you guys can see that. If you want me to roll, just drop the camera there on the floor. If you guys want me to tweak this anyway, please let me know. Alright, let's try that again. Start. Now what you got, dog? So there's our there's my screen. Move my computer out the way, and I'm going to start doing some basic sketching. Now you don't need to be a Picasso to draw on this. To draw these ideas down. There's me notes there, guys. So this is Grandma Dorothy. She likes bacon, she likes motor racing, and she likes skydiving, and she likes floral designs. Okay, so I am going to first start off with drawing the most difficult one first, and I'm going to try and I'll try and do it. I'll duplicate that tab. I'm just going to create, I'm just going to move my scene across so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to, it's Formula 1, wasn't it, racing. I'm just going to draw a quick car. Don't know how I'm going to do it. Let's see if I can strike lucky and find child. Some fantastic drawings there. Yeah, something like that maybe. Okay, so I'm going to draw something like that for the motor racing element to this picture. So Formula 1 car. I'm just quickly flicking backwards and forwards from my laptop there. I'm going to draw side on view because it's probably going to be easier. And it doesn't matter if you've got scribbles and that on here, guys, because you can ignore that when it comes to tracing over the image. Take my watch off as well. It usually helps with friction. So I'm going to draw my car. This is going to be a child's drawing. I should, by the way, so it doesn't need to look. It won't look as polished as more of an illustrator's drawing. So I'll just do something like that. Back comes down a bit, and they've got like this wing at the back of them there. And then I'm going to draw maybe she'll have some wheels there, and I'm going to draw her big with a big let's say she's going to have a helmet on. Okay, but let's say she's got a floral scarf. She likes floral stuff, remember. So we're going to draw the scarf there, and then let's make that a bit bigger. Steering wheel, there's a hand and the steering wheel. And then let's put maybe 70, because she's 70, remember. We'll put that in there. Right. Okay, we had a little glitch there, guys. Hopefully we're back up and running. So that's a bit the motor racing picture. I'm going to use a different colour pen, and we're going. She likes floral designs, so I'm going to quickly flick this scene back to that's a skydiving. Where is that floral design that we had before? That was it, yeah. So these are quite nice, aren't they? So we've got, maybe we'll create a couple of different flowers. So we've got these lovely, quickly go back to me drawing, sorry. This is a bit complicated, but hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to have these lovely leaves. You guys probably do this a lot better than I can, but it's just a way, just really a way to show you how to capture these things and how you can modify them in Illustrator. I do another set of leaves there. And I'm not really colouring them in that much because we can use some of the tools in Illustrator to do that. So maybe have something like that. What else? Let's do another little pattern inside. Circle there. We can put a nice stem on it, and we can create maybe some more of those funny shaped leaves on this stem. And then we can maybe use once we've made one of these elements, we can copy them in Illustrator, so that'll be cool. So that'll be quite quick as well. We can copy that and use it for them and reshape them. And then we could do something like this, where you've got some leaves just floating about. Like that. So we've got that done. We've got the bacon. She likes bacon, right? So I'm going to flick you back on my screen here. Let's quickly go back to the bacon picture. I'm just using that as a reference. Oh, we're not making a bacon cake. We're just looking at the picture. Let's see if I can go back. Open the picture. Right, I'm just going to sketch this bit, this cake. I'm going to use a different pen just to so I can show you. So we're going to have a nice big 3-layered cake with some colourful things on the top. So I'll flick back to me, oh, not that one, to this one. So we've got a cake here, nice big cake. We're going to have loads of gooey stuff coming out of this cake. We'll have another tier there. Again, the same thing. And this is really loose drawings, guys, because we'll probably recreate, once we've, like I said, with the leaves, we can recreate this again. So it's just to try and get a basic idea on how we think it's going to look. And you can see it's really rough. So I'm just going to do that. What time are we on? 1:45. Okay, and then I draw some strawberries on here. And some raspberries. More strawberries. I'm only going to draw a couple there because I can recreate those. And maybe we have some of the flowers coming off there as well, you know. So I'll take my purple pen, pink pen, and maybe we could have some of the flowers coming off there. People eat rose petals, don't they? So maybe we could do that. And maybe we could even create some nice candles, maybe with the same bits there that we use for the dripping of the wax. And what we could do, I'm just thinking on the fly here, we can create a nice big 770. We'll probably find a much better font than my rubbish sketch here. But then we'll put a little candle on there, a candle on there, and we'll whack that in there. So that's the kind of idea we're going to go for. Now, we've got the elements, guys, but this isn't like, no way is it the final image. So what I would do next is try and assemble this in a way that to create a bit of artwork. So the main thing I would want to focus on is this lady Dorothy's birthday. The 70. Okay, so I'm going to draw 70 in there. And what I might do is use the top of the cake to hold the candles in place. Okay. Maybe put the candles in there as well. And then we need to think about how we're going to put this the cars and all the other elements in there. So maybe we could have just going to roughly draw this in. Maybe the car this way. And then, oh, we missed the skydiving bit out, didn't we? And I was thinking about a parachute here, but let's just let's quickly go back to my scene. Let's see if we can find something like that, maybe, or that. Let's have a. Okay, so we'll do a big parachute here, and maybe we'll take the parachute and we'll bring it over here. So I'll draw it down here so I can do it a little bit better, and we'll move it to the top. And what we're going to have in the parachute is a happy birthday. So maybe we can have birthday in this. A nice and I'm just gonna really happy birthday in that, and then we'll have Grandma Dorothy. Maybe she's got nice curly hair, a nice floral scarf, parachuting in a parachute gear with her hands out, a nice smile on her face. Okay, and then the happy bit, let's say we're going to have Cloud saying happy. And I'm going to download some fonts for that. I'm going to trace the other elements and we're going to assemble them in Illustrator. Okay, so I've just got an eye on the time. So we're going to move into Illustrator now, and I'll probably actually what I'll do first is I'll go to my go-to fonts website and I'll download a couple of fonts first before we do that. Now this is a really good website. The link will be on the presentation at the end of the session today, but you can search for different styles of fonts. So we're going to look for a nice kind of, maybe it's floral. I wonder if we can find a floral, curly, groovy, comic. Okay, let's maybe say cartoon. Want something nice and big and chunky, I think, so we can see it. That bubble one's quite nice. See if we can find something a little bit bigger. On one last search to see if there's anything better that we can use. Right, and we're going to download that, and all you do is click the download button, downloads it into your downloads folder. And if we go to that downloads there, it's called cookies. If you double click on it, there it is there. I'm going to copy that. I've got it already set up a location on my computer here on my desktop, and there's my fonts folder, and you can have a similar one. Okay, I'm going to right click in there and paste it, and all you do, guys, is right click on it and click install, and it'll install that font onto your computer. And let's go with that. So if we go into Illustrator, if you've got Illustrator, if not, like I said, guys, don't worry, the process is exactly or very similar in Inkscape, so hang with us, because what I want to do is just talk you through the process of assembling this image. Okay, so I'm going to create a new document, and I'm going to set it up as an A4 document, because it really doesn't matter at this stage. All we want to do is put the artwork together. Okay, and then we're going to try and create those three things. We're going to try and create an invite, a banner, and a birthday card, but we need to assemble the artwork first. So I'm going to create an A4 document, click OK, and there we are. Okay, guys, I'm going to detach my phone from the computer. I'm going to take a picture live of me really loose sketches here. So, and then I'm going to bring them in to Illustrator. So I've took the photographs. Okay, I'm going to reconnect my phone. And what I'm going to do is try and find these images. And what I really like to do is upload my images to the computer. because I have a Google account. So that's what I'm going to do now, just make them available. Okay, and if what I'm going to do now is find my Google account. Got my Google Photos, if I can find it. Here we are, and it should be on here. There we go. So there's some pictures here. Download that, and download that. Close that. So I've downloaded a couple of images from my Google account, and there they are there. I'm going to take these, I'm going to take them out, put them into my folder where it's Leon's Graphics, and I've got a folder set up for teaching, Crafty Creatives and Crafty Illustrations, and I'll put those images in there. Okay, as you can see, I've already put an image of a drawing in there which we might be able to use as well, which I downloaded earlier. Okay, so we've got the images from my camera now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring those images into Illustrator. So we go to File, we go to Place, we find the images, and that's in the teaching folder, Crafty Creatives, Illustrations, Session 1, Images, and they're the two images that we want to bring in. That's the first one that I've just brought in there. I'll just rotate that, and I'll resize that. And I'm going to bring the next one in. You can only bring one in at a time, so quickly bring that one in. I'm going to rotate that around. And because we're running a bit short on time, guys, what I'll do is I'll do one element to this, and I'll probably do a leaf, and I'll do the 70 in the font that we just downloaded, and I'll do that in Illustrator, and then I'll show you how to do the same process in Inkscape after our little break. So I'm not going to talk. The thing is, with I've found when teaching these programs, Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, all the different creative packages, there's so much to take in. And I can remember when I first started learning, it was just so overwhelming. So what I'm going to do is just talk to you and show you the basic things in terms of this activity. I'm not going to talk you through all the different setups and all that, because quite frankly, I only know a little bit myself, but more importantly, we need to know how to achieve a certain task, not all the tasks that Illustrator can do. So if we look at this little icon, this is the layers icon, okay? And what I'm going to do, a bit like in Photoshop, you can create multiple layers. So I'm going to create another layer, and that layer one, I'm going to double click on it, and I'm going to call it scanned or drawings, hand. That's the hand drawings, okay? And then this one, I'm just going to call it vectors. And we've got about 10 minutes before we have a little break, so I'll try and get these in, and then if we've got any feedback, guys, I'm just going to quickly flick to our best I can do is stick them in, Gary. Oh, well, my pictures aren't very far off there, so you're in good company there. So as I'm clicking on that, I've got that layer selected, I will automatically be working on that layer. Now what I want to do is I'm going to put some text in for the 70. So I've clicked the little T button, which is text. It's the same. I'm absolutely sure it's the same in Inkscape. It's the same across a lot of creative packages. I'm going to click and draw a little box, and then this is where you need to understand and know where to change the settings of this text. and it's characters here. If this box isn't available on your screen, if you go to Windows and if you go down to type, and in type there are loads of different options, and you need to have characters selected, which I do here. And this is where we can alter the size of the text, and I'm going to put it to 72 is the size of the text, and I'm going to just type in 70, which is what we want for a birthday. And maybe if I select it and maybe make it bigger, even more, 150 maybe, that's what we want. But remember guys, we downloaded that font and it was called, what was it called now? Cookies. Okay, so we need to be looking for, this is how we change the font type that we've got here. So if we look for cookies in the list of fonts that we have on our computer, I'll type it in, see if I can find it. Cookies, no. Double click on that maybe. There we go. There we go. So there's that font. That's what it looks like. I'll make that a little bit smaller. So there's a 70. Now this is where we get to the nitty gritty of Illustrator. Okay, we're going to use the pen tool, which is here. It looks like this button here. And if you're struggling to see that, guys, I'll just quickly bring up so the pen tool looks a little bit like this. Okay, and I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to start creating this base shape, which is going to be like the icing for the cake. Now I've clicked once, I've clicked twice. I'll zoom in a little bit more. I'm going to click and hold and drag to create that curve. Click and hold to create that curve. Now I can remember last week, Lavender, who is on our chat at the minute, she mentioned there's another really cool tool, probably a better tool than the graphic pen I'm using at the minute. So if you can remind us on what tool that is, Lavender, that would be absolutely fantastic, and I'll show the guys how we can use that as well. But I'm just quickly going in here just to create like these drips for the icing, and then we can really tweak that a little bit more later. Okay, and if you click there, so that little line appears, we can continue our drawing. If I can just yeah, they will be available. They'll definitely be available at the end of the session there, guys. Everything I'm doing now, all these files will be available at the end of the session, so don't worry if you've missed anything. The session files with the downloaded images, the files that I'm creating now will be available for you guys to download, and also the presentation that I'm referring to for the session as well. So don't you worry about that, and it's always available. If you want to revisit it later, it'll be this YouTube stream will be available as well. So I'm just really loosely going around here and creating that drip. Okay, now it's not perfect by any stretch, but we're getting there. You know, we're using our original sketch as a trace really, and we're tracing over our original sketch. And as you can see, as we're combining our text there, it doesn't matter what your sketching is like, because you're just using it as ideas really, and you can do exactly the same with your images here. You know, you could use it if you had photographs or something like that. You can bring that photograph in, and I'll just quickly show you a quick way of doing it. You can press print screen on your computer keyboard, and then you can just paste it in as well, and there you can see I'm not going to explain what I'm doing here now because it's not really that important, but you can bring in you can bring in the screen that you've just looked at there. So I've clicked print screen on here. Now mine might look a little bit different to yours because I've got two screens up at the minute. This is one of the other screens. So all I'm doing now is cropping that down, and there's that image there, and you can trace over that as well. But remember, you've got your layers set up as well, guys. Where's your layers here? So make sure you're on the right layer when you bring your images in, okay? Just to organize them a little bit better. I'm going to go on to about 10 past, and then we're going to have a little bit of a break. So we've got the little icing there. We've got the 70. We're going to create the candles, and then the reason why I haven't included any colouring at the minute is because I think it's really good to get your shape sorted first and get the composition right, and then you can start looking at bringing colour in, okay? Once you get the composition right, that's one thing out of the way, and then you can start looking at colour. So I've got the 70 there. I'm going to create these candles, and I'm just going to do the one, and that's really one of the really cool things I like about working digitally is you can reproduce things quite easily. Now if I wanted to draw that cake that I drew before, this cake here, although it didn't take very long to draw, but if I spent a long time drawing this cake and then wanted to redraw it, obviously it's going to take a long time. But in the digital world, you just need to put the image, the hard work and effort into that one thing, and then you can just copy and paste it. So that's one of the reasons I like to work digitally. Now here with me graphic pen, as you can see, it's creating a shape here, and that is because these here, I wonder if I can make this bigger. Right, here's one for you guys. Do you know how to make the tools bigger? If you do, let me know in the group chat there, okay? So you can see them a little bit better. But as you can see, that black square there is a background color or the fill color, and now we want to create a line there. So if you click that little button, that creates a line. It moves the black into the outline which we've created here, and not the actual fill shape. I'm going to press enter and start drawing this shape here, which would be the candle or flame if you like. And again, guys, it's not perfect, and it doesn't really need to be perfect for this example. But here, guys, you see these points that I'm drawing out here. These points are called anchor points, and you can add and delete anchor points here. So there's an anchor point you can delete to get rid of that sharp edge there. We can click that minus and click on the point. Please use a delete anchor point tool on an anchor point. Alright, I must have just missed that anchor point there, but if you hover over it, you can see it says anchor, and I'll just delete that there. And then what I'll do, if you use the white selection tool, it'll allow you to manipulate those points a little bit better, okay? Also, guys, if you just notice what I've done there is I've clicked on this and moved that by accident. Now, if you're tracing something, that can be a bit of a pain. So all I've done is press Control and Z, which is undo, to bring it back to where it was. But if you go into your first layer, and I'm just going to turn one of the images off just to identify which image layer that is. Or actually, another cool little trick is, can you see the little blue dot here? That little blue dot tells you what you've got selected at the minute. Now this black tool or this white arrow or the black arrow here, they're your selection tools, and if you click on the item that you want to select, it'll have a little blue dot there, and you know that's the item in that list. And now these lists can get really complex here, so that's really useful. If you click the little square here, if you notice, there's a little padlock comes up there, which means you've locked that layer so you can't move it, so that avoids that. Now I'm going to fast forward. Oh, see, I've moved that by accident, so you've got to be careful on what you're doing here. What I'm going to try and do is I'll lock that 70 for a minute. All I want to do is select this flame. Now I know this isn't perfect, but I'm just going to, obviously we can spend a bit more time to make that a little bit better, but I'm just going to try and build this image up a little bit quickly, a little bit more quickly, so we can move the image on. As we can see, we've got two elements here, and they're going to be filaments are going to form that one candle shape. Actually, one quick thing I'll do is I'll press Control and C for that, and Control and V, and then I'm going to create another one. You see what I mean about creating an image, building up an image really quickly? And then I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. And there we go. Try to make it a little bit more realistic. Now we've got three images to create this. That creates this really loose looking flame. If I right click them all by clicking Shift and click them all, right click and click group, that groups them into one, and then you can hold down Alt, click and drag using your selection tool, and then you can create a copy. And then what you can do is, to make it look a little bit different, you can kind of resize it, maybe make it a little bit thinner. You might want to rotate it slightly so it doesn't look the same. And then there you go, you've got your candles, you've got your 70th birthday, and I think I was quite ambitious with all the flowers and all that, but maybe what we'll try and do is use the flowers, use a flower base sketch in Inkscape. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hide the hand-drawn images, and then we're left with that. Okay, now what you can do, obviously, you can change the colors here. You can change the color with that. Remember, I've got that locked. You know, and you can start building up that image there. And I think once we've got the little petals in and stuff like that, that can look quite cool. If you double click on that, that flame can be yellow now. That bit there can be, I don't know, red. Is it red inside? I don't know. And what you can do is another tool here, which is quite cool. If you double click on the element that you want. Now what you need to do when you've got groups, guys, that's selecting the whole group. You double click on that whole group and select what you want to select, i.e. this one shape. You can click this eyedropper tool, click on the other one, and it'll copy that yellow. And then if you go back to your selection tool, click the inner shape, eyedropper again, there you go. And then double click on that white space and you're out of it there. What we might want to do, we see the black outlines there. We might want to have a black outline on everything else to try and tie it all in together. And by clicking on that square first and then changing your colors here, we've got a black outline, so that matches that. And now with the text is a different kettle of fish. Now what I like to do, this is at the minute is not an editable shape. All it is it's text, and I can change that text. I can change it to 71. And look how easy that is, guys, as well. For Grandma Dorothy's 71 for her birthday when she's 71, we can quickly do that, and we can create a new birthday card. And that's the reason why vectors are so useful. All right, take it back to 0 for a minute. And what I like to do is make a copy of that, so I've got everything the way I want it. But then you can convert this to a shape, or type if you go to there, create outlines, and that creates a shape out of that. Now we can add black outlines to there, and that looks a little bit better. Okay, now I'm conscious that we were running out of time here. I'm going to have a little break now. It's 10 past. So if you guys want to come back at, say, 20 past, I'll get myself a glass of water, and then I'll open up Inkscape, and then I'll start bringing in those other images that we have here. The flowers, we'll bring in the flowers, and we'll make this out of the shapes in Inkscape. What I'm going to do before that, however, I'm going to quickly click that. I'm going to try and export this shape and see if we can use this shape in we're going to export it as a SWF file, and I'm going to just call this artwork piece 1, and I'm going to save it in, where am I saving that, to graphics, and this is going into teaching, Crafty Creatives, Illustrations, session 1, images, and I'm going to save it there. The reason why I'm going to do that, and I'm just quickly doing it off the fly, is that we can bring this in Inkscape, and hopefully it'll look very similar, and then we can start building on this image using Inkscape, and I'll talk you through some of the tools and that. Okay, now guys, if you've got any input to the way this is looking, any tools that you think will be better used than the ones I'm using, please give us a shout. All right, but we're going to go for a little break now. I'll get back with you guys at 20 past. Okie doke. That's good timing because the door's just gone. So I'll see you back here at 20 past 2. Okay. Hi guys, welcome back to the second half of Crafty Creatives session 1. We had the taster session last week where we looked at vectors and Crafty Illustrations, which is this section of a new series that we're doing. This is all about turning your hand drawings into vector illustrations, so we can then utilize them a bit more efficiently using computer programs called Illustrator and Inkscape. Okay, so in the first half of the session, we created we were dealing with an activity where we are creating some artwork for our 70th birthday. Okay, and we want to try and create. Let's have a quick look at. Want to try and create an invite, some artwork that will go on an invite, a birthday card, and a birthday banner. And we're going to do that activity for both to create artwork in both Illustrator and Inkscape, which is Illustrator's comparable vector-based program, which is for free. Well, Inkscape is a free open source program. I did have 2 activities planned today. So the first one was obviously for the first 70th birthday party, and the activity 2 was to create a totally different bit of artwork for a 5th birthday party. So we can have a look at utilizing different imagery. However, I think we're going to, well, because we're going over a little bit, we're going to still stay on this activity 1, and we're just going to flip over to Inkscape now and start building up that artwork that we started in Illustrator. Now, in the taster session, there was a link to Inkscape on how to download it. But what I'll do while we're on now is I'll create a quick new slide there, and I'll copy Inkscape, the website to it for you guys if you don't have it available. Okay, and this will be the website for to download it for next session if you don't already have it. Okay, so where we are at the minute is we've brought in these bits of artwork. Quickly sketched these bits of imagery based on a little profile that we put together around Grandma Dorothy, who has these interest in bacon motor racing, skydiving, and she likes floral designs. We created some really loose sketches here, and then we've took a photograph of these images with our phone, and now we've brought them into Illustrator, and we've traced around them to create an image that looks like, well, an image that looks like this. We haven't traced around all of it, we've just traced around 70-bit for the time being. Okay, so that's where we are with that. What we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to move into Inkscape, which is a program which is very similar to Illustrator. I'm going to show you how to use similar tools to create the same thing, but we're not going to recreate this artwork. We're just going to add to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to hide these background images, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as a different file type. Now you'll notice at the end of the first half I clicked File Export, and I'd saved it as a SWF file. That was a wrong file type because when I tested it in the break, it didn't work. So what we need to do is go to File, Save As, and save it as an SGV file. That's a file that we'll need to save it as. We've also got it as Illustrator as well. So we'll save it as an Illustrator file because I haven't saved it as an Illustrator file yet, so we know we have that. I'm just going to save that now, and then I'm going to save the SGV file next. Now, Inkscape is a really cool program, I like to say, because it's free and it allows you to build vector images, which we're doing at the minute. But it's a program that I haven't really used because we always have the licenses for Illustrator. So I use Illustrator. So it's going to be a learning curve for me to get stuck into that as well. I'm really excited to be able to be testing out Inkscape a little bit more in depth than I have done previously. So I'm gonna leave those settings. I generally, guys, keep the settings the way the settings are, and I'll test that out first before I start messing about with things. I only start doing research into different settings and different setting types when I have an issue. Okay, and generally speaking, settings are set up for normal use. Okay, so I would always click OK when these things come up, unless you know exactly what you're dealing with, and a lot of the time I don't. So let's go into Inkscape now. Inkscape, I've already downloaded this from last week. So what we've got, guys, I'll just quickly show you. In our folder, in the Crafty Illustrations folder, we have sorry, I'm in the wrong folder here. In the teaching folder, Crafty session 1's images, we have those scanned images there. We have the artwork, which is that SGV file there, and then we have an Illustrator file. On the break, I opened up the SGV file fine, but I'm quite interested to see if Inkscape opens the AI file, which is the Illustrator's file format, and we're going to have a look at that now. So I'm going to go to print. This box is opened up when I've clicked Inkscape. This is how to open up a file. I'm going to click print, and there you've got your preset different page sizes. I'm going to click A4, and there we go. There's our Inkscape interface. So we've saved the file. What we need to do is we need to bring it in from Illustrator. We've saved a file from Illustrator. We need to bring it into Inkscape. So there's different ways you can do that. You can do file open, and let's locate the file. And if we struggle with this, we'll click import. So graphics, teaching, session 1, images, and there's the files there. So it looks as though you can import the Illustrator file. So I'm going to try that and see what happens. Brings up a load of information here. I'm going to just click OK because I'm a bit lazy, and let's see what happens. Now I do know that SGV file worked before, and this is all trial and error, this, guys, because I've never done this before. I've never brought in an Illustrator file into Inkscape. And as you can see, it seems to be struggling with that. So we might need to abort that mission and try it the other way. Oh, here we go. It's brought it in. That's great, and it's brought in all the layers as well. So that's what it was doing there, guys. It was just taking a bit of time to bring all those bits and pieces in. Let's just double check on something. So it's grouped these vectors. So what we need to do is we need to break those down. So if you right click on that group and ungroup, it's going to ungroup it. And yes, we can change the font on this one, because if you remember, I created a copy of the 70, and that is the editable font. And then on this one, I create the outline, so this can't be edited in the same way anymore because it's now objects instead of actual font. We can zoom in and zoom out by pressing the Control key. And what we're going to look at now is we're going to create some interesting. Okay, so what it's done there, and this is all learning for both of us, or for all of us, is it's brought in exactly what we've wanted it to bring in. However, if you can see this, the page shape here, it's only brought in what is on the page. Okay, all the sketches that sit outside the page, i.e. this bit that we want, it hasn't brought it in, it's just carved it up. Okay, which is not a bad option really, because I want to show you how to bring in images. Now, when we open this file up, we open this file up because it recognizes that this is a vector-based file. Okay. However, if you want to import images like we did in Illustrator, you need to go to File, Import, and we need to locate the image that we want to import. So I'm importing the file, this picture, which is the 70th, the other photograph that we used. Okay, I'm going to click on it. So it's slightly different than in Illustrator, but if you click on the image once, you can resize it, and you hold down Alt in Inkscape to keep all the size constrained. And what I mean by constrained is this isn't constrained at the minute, it's stretched, but if you press Alt, it keeps it to the same proportions. Alright, so I'm going to zoom in a touch. If you click on it once, it brings up the options to resize. If you click on it again, it allows you to rotate the image. I'm going to rotate it like that, and I'm going to bring it over there. So what I want to look at now is I want to utilize some of the tools in Inkscape to create this flower. And the first thing I want to do is create a petal, and I'm going to duplicate those petals and try and build this flower shape. Now, I'm going to do this on the fly as well, and I've never done this yet, but I'm going to try and bring in a Wacom tablet to the mix. And I'm going to show you what that is in a minute. Let's see if I can... if you just bear with me 1 minute. I'm going to try and bring me video back up so I can show you something. And if not, I'll plug in my phone. Okay, so I've plugged in my phone here. I'm just going to quickly show you something. Okay, so a Wacom tablet, for you guys who don't know what it is, it's basically it's a tablet. That's all it is. These came out way before phones and way before actual tablets. But what it is, you can get them as printable screens now. Well, not printable screens. You can get them with screens on them now. But these are actual tablets that you can draw with. Okay, now I'm just doing this hoping it's going to work. I'm not sure if it is. Hopefully it'll install as I'm waffling on. But what I'm going to try and do is use this pen, which you can use on lots of different packages, including Photoshop and Illustrator as well. And I'm going to try and draw this. Right, now it's saying my pen's device is ready. Let's see if it is or not. So I'll get rid of this for a minute. Hopefully you guys can still see if this pen is working. If it's not, we'll have to abandon the process. But basically what you would do I don't think it is actually working. But what you would do is you could use this in a very similar way to sketching over something on tracing paper, and you would just sketch. Okay, but because I haven't practiced this and haven't installed it correctly, it hasn't worked. So I'm going to abandon that for now. I'm going to make a little note to show you guys properly next week. But that's what a tablet is. When I refer to a tablet and using the tablet as a tool to sketch as well, instead of using the mouse, which I'll go back to now. Okay, so let's go back to this. Put this tablet to one side. I thought I was being clever there, but you'll have a better idea next week. And if you've already got one, then you won't need to use a mouse because it's a lot easier. And then we're going to draw around one of these shapes. Okay, so let's have a look. We've got a tool here called a Bezier Curve, and that's the tool which is comparable to the graphics tool that we used in Illustrator. And all we're going to do is, now if you look, this shape is very similar to the very similar to the candle shape that we've created, but I'm not going to use that candle shape or recreate or duplicate it, because I just want to quickly show you how you would use it. You use this tool in Inkscape. So all we've done there is do that one more time. Click, move your mouse, and it creates a straight line. But if you click again and hold down that left mouse click and drag your anchor points out, you can create your curves. Okay, and that's what we're trying to do here. Okay, creating our curve. There we go. So there's that first shape. And then what we did in Illustrator, remember, was we copied it or duplicated it. So if we click right click and duplicate, we've probably duplicated one on top of the other, which we have, and then you can reposition, resize, and what have you. Okay. Now, if we select both of them and right click, there should be a group option, which there is. So if you click both of them by clicking the shift button on your keyboard, click group. Now we've got a group. We want to go back into that group, and we want to color this petal. We've got some preset colors along here, and we've got these are all our default colors. Let's see what happens if we double click on a color. Alright, so that'll add the color to that. Yeah, that's perfect. And then we need to try and find out how we can get some change those colors and manage the colors. So there's your fill and there's your stroke, a bit like an Illustrator, guys. If you double click on the fill, that'll bring up some controls here on how you can edit that color, a bit like an Illustrator. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to do a very similar thing to the inner color. Now if I click on this stroke, I just want to make sure that the stroke of this line is different to that stroke there. So let's have a look and see if we can make sure that the strokes are the same. So that's a black there, stroke and fill, paint stroke style. Can you see at the top there if you click that? That is one pixel for the stroke, so we just need to make sure that that stroke is the same as that one. So if you click on this, we'll put that back up to 1 pixel, so it's the same. Double click on the fill where it says none at the minute, and we're going to change that color. It says there's no paint. Okay, so let's choose that, and I'm just going to lighten that color up a little bit. And then what I will do is I'll sort out that there's a little nick in there that I really don't like. A little it's not as smooth as it should be. So if you click on that, you should be able to edit these points by clicking on the anchor point there and just changing that. There you go. And you should be these are the different controls for these points. So if we can click on that point, for example, it's just a case of experimenting. Zoom out and see what that looks like. It looks terrible, so I'm going to press Control and Z, go back to that, and I'm going to do the same to here. Click on that point, and this is the anchor point that I'm changing to try and make that a bit smoother. Maybe drop that down a bit as well. It's not perfect, but we'll do. That stroke, I'm going to go back to that stroke, and I'm going to. What happens if I click stroke? I would like to try and remove the stroke if possible. So I'm going to give that a 0 stroke. And I'm going to do the same for that one. We now know how to change the stroke width. And we know how to change those points. Now if I zoom out now, click the select button. There we go, you can move that about quite easily now. So I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to move that. I'm going to, remember, click on it, rotate it around. And then we're going to build up that flower. Now there's a lot of other ways that we can manipulate that flower to make it look slightly different, but it's 2:45 now, and we've been going at it for quite some time now. So I'm just going to quickly make this flower shape. Just with what we've got, okay. And then what we can do, can you see how quickly that was created there? I'm going to duplicate it once again and maybe create the outline ones, the outside petals. But what we'll do here is I'm going to make these lighter. So I'm going to double click on that. I'm going to click on the fill color, and I'm going to just make the outside just slightly different color. Change this inner color to a bit more whiter, just for a bit of variation. And then I'm going to click the selection tool, click that, click it again, rotate it around, and I'm going to position it. I want these to sit behind. So if I right click on here, there should be some way of changing its order. And let's have a quick look here. Cancel that. Here, I think this is it. Duplicate, that's duplicate. Create a clone. Select clones, it's not that. Group objects, ungroup. Let's have object here. These are the go-to. These are the go-to places that we want to look. I don't know how to do this, and as you can see, I don't. But anything to do with a group or an object, I've flicked back to Illustrator just to show you. We have an object tab up here, an object drawer, if you like, and these are all the different things that we can do with our objects here. We can group them and do all kinds of stuff. Now, if we go to Inkscape, we also have an object button here, but we also have a layer here and layer orders here, and that's what I want to try and do. And layer to the top, layer to the bottom. Let's see what happens if I move that. Raise section by 1. Oh, okay. So we're getting there. I'm going to press Control and Z to go back. We want that to go behind these, but not behind the background image. So let's go 1, 2, perfect. Getting there. See, so this is how kind of we get the grips with doing these things. You know, it's just trial and error. It's having a bit of an idea from what you can do in Illustrator and trying your luck. And these programs are based off each other, so all the tools and techniques that you're trying to employ are going to be very similar across both programs. And it's just a case of having a quick look, just hovering over the tools to kind of get an idea on what we need to do. So moving that back there like that. I'll duplicate that a couple of more times. I'm going to move that there, and I'm going to move, I think we made another copy, didn't we? Yeah, that's it. I'll rotate that. So there, very quickly, we've created quite a cool bit of artwork for this flower. And I'm going to move these back, so I'll see if I can select them both at the same time, see if I can do it. Yeah, we can, perfect. Now I'm going to do a little inner one, and what I'm going to do for that is maybe just do something a little bit different and have I noticed there was some shapes here that we could probably use. Here we are, there's a circle shape. I'm going to just use that, move that in the middle, and as you can see the colours popped up for it. And there we go. And what I might do is make that a nice nice pink colour. And then I'll copy that again, duplicate it, sorry, make that a bit smaller, put that in the middle, change the colour again, and then you guys can do whatever you like, but this is what I've done there for that. And then we've got a big two little things that I'm going to do before we finish is I'm going to make another copy of that, duplicate that, and I'm going to create the leaves out there. Can you see how easy that was? All I did was I'll undo that actually. I double clicked in that group to pick that outer leaf. I'm going to copy it this time, and then I'm going to right click and paste it. And the reason why I've done that is because when I duplicated it, it duplicated that shape within the group, and I didn't want it in the group. I wanted it on its own, in its part of it by itself. Okay, I'm going to turn that to a green color, and we're going to duplicate this one now because that is its own element. Give that a little different shape, rotate that round, and then we're going to draw a line. I wonder if there's any other drawing tools that we can use. We've got spirals here and a freehand pencil. I'm going to try using that freehand pencil to see what happens. It's a bit jaggedy. Smoothing options, right? Let's have a look at this. And guys, I've never used this tool before, so let's see what happens. As you can see, I'll undo what I've just done. I've just used my mouse, and if we used that Wacom tablet that didn't work when I plugged it in, you'd be able to draw that a little bit smoother. But we've got smoothing options here. Now what happens when we click on that? Alright, okay, I think you need to change those smoothing options before you draw your line. So let's have a look. Use pen pressure. That pen pressure is to do with your pen, like your Wacom pen. Let's put 20 in there. Just 3. That's better. Right, so it is That's exactly what I thought it would be. And again, I've never used this before. It's just a case of practice and using your intuition. But if you looked at the first time, this is the pencil we're using. Oh, it's called the freehand lines tool. I'm going to undo this, and it was set 4 before. And I drew my line, and you can see it's really jaggedy. So I'm going to get rid of that. I thought, right, if 4 is jaggedy, if I put that at 20, what does that line look like? Draw me curve now, and there it's nice and smooth. So again, trial and error works alright. Now what we need to do is we know how to increase the size of the stroke now. So we increase the size of the stroke, say to 15. Nice. Round off the edges. There's the caps at the edge. Round them off. And I'm going to change the color. I wonder if we can pick the color. So remember, we had the color picker in Illustrator, exactly the same shape, the same tool in Inkscape, and it works. But what it's doing is it's taking exactly the parameters of that tool. So that tool there, that shape there is a fill. It's not a line. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to use that color for the line. And there's a quick way of swapping them over in Illustrator. And there is one here. If you right click on this on the stroke, you can invert the colors. Oh, that didn't work. Let's have a look. Oh, here we go. Swap fill and stroke. There you go. Now we want to get rid of this black really, so let's right click on the fill. Undo. And then let's remove the fill, and there we go. Getting there, brilliant. So let's have a look at the layers now. If we go to the layers, artwork from Illustrator. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to try and group all these together. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to say Inkscape drawing, and I want to position it above the current, so I'm going to add that, and I'm going to paste that into that layer. Okay, so that's just duplicated, copied and paste that flower, and I'm hoping if I hide the bottom layer, which is part of which I've drew that flower in, if I hide that, the top one remains, which it does, which is great. Also gets rid of the background imagery. That's fine. So in InDesign, we have a way of controlling and seeing the sub layers, the different elements that form that layer. Doesn't seem to be as obvious in Inkscape. However, what I do know is I want that stem to go right at the very bottom, and we know how to do that now by pressing that tool there, and that's how we get that. I want to move that onto there slightly, rotate it, move that out, and I tell you what I also want to do is I want to pull this point out a bit. Like that. Click our move tool again, or our selection tool, and there we go. So we've got that flower now. Now we've hid everything else, so let's unhide. Let's copy that. Let's paste it into the Inkscape drawing. Hide the bottom layer, and there we go. So a little bit ambitious in what I thought we could achieve today, but that's all right. But what we have now, what we've done today, is we've created a bit of artwork here. That is going to be used to create a birthday card. It's going to be used to create a banner. It's going to be used to be used to create an invite for a birthday, and we're going to do that next week. We're going to finish this off next week. But as you can see, it's very, very easy to draw your sketches, and I always go and use my sketches as my go-to. Use hand drawings as me to get me ideas out there, because sometimes, especially as you can see, it can be quite difficult to kind of, you get bogged down with some of the tools and how the tools work and all that, but we don't have any of those issues when it comes to sketching, hand sketching that is. So I always use me sketches first to try and get me idea out there, and then I'll try and make me artwork fit me design. So all I'm doing now, guys, is grouping that there. Maybe stretch that a little bit more, or even you can make it smaller, you know, and you can duplicate this even more. So you could go duplicate that, rotate that. Oh, rotate that, make it smaller. You see how easy it is to recreate bits of artwork there. Do the same thing again, duplicate, move it, rotate so it looks as though these flowers are falling. Duplicate again, maybe make it a bit smaller this time. Rotate, and can you see how we're building up an image now? Building up this image quite quickly now that we've put our effort into drawing that one element. So next week all we need to do is create our happy birthday banner, our happy birthday bit in there. Just copying all of these now. Can you see how quickly that was to copy? Move those over. Position that a little bit better. And there we have some of our artwork, courtesy of Illustrator and Inkscape. Okay, I'm going to quickly save that. And I'm going to save it as an Inkscape file. Remember, when we exported the file originally from Illustrator, we saved it as an SGV, and that's what the standard is in Inkscape. And I'm going to put from Inkscape, so any of us who are learning learning on these sessions, it's quite obvious. Save that, and then I'm going to go back to our presentation. Here we go, and let's have a look at what we have done today and what we wanted to try and achieve. So our task today was to design some artwork to celebrate grandparents' birthday. We've done a bit of research to find and formulate like kind of profile of this person. Now you wouldn't need to formulate a profile because you already have a profile of that person if you were doing it for them, somebody you know. We've done some sketches, which as you can see from my sketches, they weren't the best, but they did what they needed to do. There's some of the sketches that we did. Then we brought those sketches in to Illustrator first of all, and we started to trace over them and utilize different elements and different tools to create these vector bits of artwork here that we can stretch and manipulate and do all kinds of different things with it. We also downloaded a bit of a new font, which we used as a base of our 70 there. We've got some new elements that we would like to try and include, and we'll try and look at including that next week. So we'll create that central bit of artwork to finish off our bit of artwork that we can then use for the flyer, or use for the invite, and use for the birthday card and things like that. So we created this 70 with a bit of icing in, and the candles on the top. That bit of artwork in Illustrator. We went in Inkscape and we. I'm just going to quickly show you the flowers, the sketch of the flowers. So there's a sketch of the flowers there that we did, and we tried to convert that into a vector, which we did quite nicely and quite easily, using the same method we would in Illustrator, and that's what we did. And then once we made the one, we used one petal, one shape to create the inner petal and the outer petal. We grouped that, we duplicated those to create the inner petals, and then we've done the same for the outers, but we just changed the color. Used the outer petal for the leaves, and as you can see, this image was really quickly and easily built up. Okay, so we're going to add a bit more to this next week. What else have we done today? We've done quite a bit. We had a bit of a recap on having a look at what vectors are, and as we're going through these sessions, as you might not completely grasp it, but as we're going through and you're learning the different tools, you'll understand a bit better a bit more about what vector-based images are. And as I keep on saying, it's just shapes and paths, set shapes and set paths that allow you to resize your image to whatever size you want without losing any quality, whereas raster is set up a little bit differently. This is the kind of imagery we used to think about where we're going to place our artwork. We're going to place it on an invite. We're going to place it on a card. We can even put it on if we were doing a Zoom birthday party or something like that, like this image shows here. You could even use it as artwork within that program as well, you know. So if we are isolating, or if you are vulnerable and you're isolating and you still want to share birthdays and, you know, really key things like that, you can still create this artwork and still share it digitally instead of like printing out leaflets and stuff like that. Useful resources: royalty free images are available on Pixabay. And if you click there, you'll see, I'll just delete that little bit, and you can have that there. And these are all the royalty-free images that are available. Royalty, can't spell it even now. Okay, and there's where we can download some really cool fonts as well from Da Font. There's another one called 1001 Fonts as well. So we've covered quite a lot today. We had a backup kind of activity to do the same process, but to generate a different type of artwork for a different type of person or persons. And this activity was going to be for a set of twins celebrating their 5th birthday, so we can generate some different artwork. But to be fair, the process would be very similar using in both programs. So what we're going to do next week is we're going to finish off where we left off here, and then we're going to explore some of the other tools that are available in both Inkscape and Illustrator here. Okay, we're going to look at some of those tools and how best we can use them to build up our artwork a bit more. If you guys have got any feedback whatsoever, or if you've got any suggestions or any tools that you think we could cover, give me a shout and I'll do my best to show them in the session. Let's have a quick butchers at the rest of the presentation, see if there's anything else I can talk to you about. Yeah guys, so really research I think is key. Once you know who you're doing the artwork for, what you're doing it for, that allows you to tailor your artwork, your designs specifically for that idea. So we spent a bit of time doing that. And then your hand-drawn sketches, as you've seen the quality of my hand-drawn sketches, they're not great, but they give you that basic idea of how we're going to assemble your final bit of artwork. And then you can do all the tweaks and fine tweaks in our vector-based programs. Okay, so that's it for today's session. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed delivering it, and I'm really enjoying learning Inkscape because like I mentioned before, I haven't really used it before. So this is a learning curve for both of us. We're going to look at finishing that artwork for next week, and then we're going to look at creating some other artwork. So session 2 was about creating artwork for a civil ceremony. So we're going to look at some research around civil ceremonies in terms of visual research and what kind of elements we could draw for our civil ceremony kind of celebration. So if you want to have a look at that in preparation for the next Thursday, that'd be fantastic. And please share your images. You've got my email address, which is here, and this will be made available on the description in the description of our YouTube channel. Sorry that you couldn't see me lovely face today. I had a bit of an issue with the camera, but I've probably saved a lot of you a lot of heartache. Maybe you don't want to see me. Maybe you don't want to see me face, and I don't mean heartache. I mean saved your eyes. Maybe you don't want to see it. So there you go. Right. So as mentioned before, guys, we need to have our enrollment forms filled in. They're really important. And to obtain the link for the next session, please give us an email. Fill in the enrollment form, and I'll send you the link for the next session personally, directly email address. And the surveys, please fill in the surveys as well. Okay, but until next time, have a great rest of the week. Enjoy the sunshine, and thanks for tuning in. Any feedback or anything, give me an email. Okay, thanks very much, guys. Have a lovely day.